Alright, hello citizens of the Nigelverse, it is Niger once again, and after having returned on Saturday, it looks like we're finally getting our first few who, at least feuds that are sort of being lined up for CM Punk that have hit the rumor mill. But also there's quite a bit more I also want to talk about with CM Punk. His return has created a lot of interest, a lot of buzz, but also a lot of concern. But we'll address pretty much most, if not all, of that. But I mainly want to talk about the two feuds that he is likely to have. One seems like it's going to be perhaps in the process of being set up at this moment in time, but the other, I'm sure, is very much later down the line. And funnily enough, it involves two members of the Shield, that being being the group that kind of was CM Punk's idea, funnily enough. But the first is going to be against Seth Rollins, and then the second is apparently going to be against Roman Reigns. Now, both of these, are feuds that, both of these are kind of feuds that people probably saw coming, or at least have thought about potentially happening in the future. But the other thing is, both these feuds are feuds that people are very much interested in, kind of for very different reasons. But let's talk about them. So the first is the feud with Seth Rollins. Now, granted, it's Seth Rollins and CM Punk. Sadly, not quite on the best terms. Unfortunately, they had a falling out. They were friends at one point, way back when, but unfortunately, they had a falling out, I believe, stemming from CM Punk's departure from WWE. More specifically, how he left, as opposed to just him leaving in the first place. So, sadly, quite a bit of bad blood there. But, uh, but, uh, with Seth Rollins, what happened at Survivor Series with him with him essentially possibly for real going off, and then versus him even mentioning CM Punk, both on Raw last night. They did the CM Punk chants in the crowd, and Seth Rollins actually acknowledged them. But then also at a house show that they did on Sunday. Sadly, quite a bit of bad blood between the two. Considering Seth is very firmly a WWE guy and would theoretically want the best for WWE. At least theoretically, and the fact that he's world champion, I'm sure he'll be willing to, at least for the time being, put his differences aside and play ball, essentially, with a potential CM Punk feud. But here is to hoping that they can, and this is something I've kind of mentioned before, here's to hoping they can put aside their differences and make amends and things like that. And crazier, her grudges have been laid to rest. Real life grudges, that is, have been laid to rest in the world of pro wrestling. And so hopefully they're able to put their differences aside and really work with each other and even if they're not necessarily friends, for them to at least be on more peaceful terms. I'm definitely hoping for. Not sure if we'll quite get that, but here's to hoping, I guess. And then there's Roman Reigns. So Roman Reigns, obviously the biggest star in WWE right now, firmly atop the mountain in WWE, but more specifically about who Roman Reigns has as his wise man, that being Paul Heyman. Of course, CM Punk, firmly a Paul Heyman guy, both on and off camera. Paul Heyman, I should say, always been an advocate for CM Punk, always wanting him to get opportunities and stuff. Remember way back when in ECW, more specifically at December 2006, Paul Heyman definitely wanted CM Punk to walk out ECW champion. Everybody else wanted CM Punk to walk out ECW champion, but Bobby Lashley did. Wrestling, yeah, so having a feud of that nature and to really explore or and to really explore that type of feud. A guy who has always, he's kind of been the person groomed to be the next big star in Roman Reigns, versus a guy who had to who defy that expectation in order to become a major star inside and outside WWE, but more specifically inside WWE, that being in CM Punk, and the fact that Roman was not supposed to be the guy that CM Punk wanted in the Shield. So the story goes that CM Punk wanted Dean Ambrose / John Moxley, Seth Rollins, and Chris Hero to be a part of the Shield, but ultimately Triple H said no, we're going with this guy. Hey, we're going with Roman. I think people do forget that Roman Reigns is a Triple H guy, but yeah. So, having a feud of that nature, I think, would be interesting, and I imagine the Roman against CM Punk feud would be the major one, and CM Punk vs Rollins, while also a very big feud, would also be the would kind of be the appetizer, if you will, before CM Punk feuds against Roman. Don't know if they're gonna quite do it at WrestleMania. I think from what I've heard, their WrestleMania plans are kind of locked in, and for CM Punk to come in and throw a wrench in the works would kind of derail things. But it's happened before. But we'll have to see. But the other thing that I want to mention is so far, her CM Punk being back in WWE, and I kind of briefly touched upon this when I talked about his return at Survivor Series, but it has caused some stir. Some people are excited to have him back, excited to see what type of feuds he'll have, and I imagine, as it looks like Seth Rollins is about to enter a feud with Drew McIntyre, that CM Punk will kind of have a feud in the middle as well. But there are people who are excited to have CM Punk back, but there are people who are upset. And obviously, you have the extremists of the AEW fans who try to downplay it and everything, and those type of people are just great, I guess. It's granted, obviously they're entitled to their own opinions just as much as me and you, but it's wild. It's definitely wild and somewhat concerning, some of the things that have been said and some of the extremes they're willing to go to try to downplay the significance of CM Punk's return. Right, I'm not one, and obviously I'm not like a pro WWE ex AEW guy. I love AEW as well. I've talked about that I really like AEW as well, and I talked about how I think AEW will be, for the most part, fine without CM Punk, as long as they find their upward trajectory, find what works, and stick with it. But to downplay the return, or just out of whatever twisted loyalty they feel they have to AEW, is strange. It's peculiar. But such is the internet, and I kind of touched upon it when I talked about has the internet ruined pro wrestling, but man, I really need to go into more detail. I definitely, you know what, now that I mention it, I definitely should do a part 2 at some point, but nevertheless, there's that. But then you also have the people who are we're saying CM Punk's hypocritical, or saying Seth Rollins called him a hypocrite. And that's kind of understandable with how much CM Punk spoke out about WWE. However, there's a lot of other people who spoke out about WWE who ended up returning more so different times. They said they want a new beginning, a fresh start for CM Punk, and it looks like he's being given that opportunity. Hopefully he does make the most of it, and hopefully we get some interesting feuds now that CM Punk is back. And some people even criticize CM Punk's promo, saying it was too PG. Although WWE is still PG, I don't quite know what you were expecting. But also, it didn't really feel that way to me. So I actually went back and watched the promo in its entirety. I actually was just about to get to that promo. I had watched Raw up until that point, but something had came up, so I missed the promo. It was in the last few minutes of Raw, but thankfully they uploaded the full segment on YouTube. So I went back and saw it, and it's not really the thing is obviously there's not a whole lot of swearing and profanity and stuff. Is that maybe the PG part? But also very much feels like a CM Punk promo. Like CM Punk always master on the mic, which I think is one of the main things that people are attracted about to him. But it didn't feel like a PG promo. It didn't feel like this selling out promo. Not quite sure what they were expecting. Some people speculated that people were expecting him to bash and trash AEW. But the thing is, A, that would kind of go against the fresh start. B, would just make CM Punk look worse. And C, kind of tying into A, CM Punk's trying to move past that, at least seemingly trying to move past that, and that's what he's addressed in his promo. He's pretty much saying, he's home, and he's come home to WWE. He's been gone for so long, gone for almost 10 years. Sometimes they alternate between 10 years or almost 10 years, over 10 years, but it has been almost 10 years. Excuse me, almost 10 years. His last appearance was at the, it was definitely in 2014. I just forget the exact date. But, yeah, so almost 10 years. But, yeah. So it's about 8 to 9 years, which is still kind of close, but not quite 10 years. But anyway, he pretty much CM Punk returning, and almost I don't want to draw these comparisons too much, but almost similar to the type of promo Cody cut when he came back, saying where he's saying I tried to run away from Destiny, found myself back in WWE, he kind of thing. And CM Punk kind of cuts a similar promo like that, but obviously with that CM Punk twist. And honestly, him bashing AEW is not a bad thing, because as you saw with him bashing WWE and AEW, that will probably be used against him if worst case scenario, this whole fresh start thing with WWE ends up falling through. But also, it seems like he does want to try to move past that. He talked about how supportive people were. He even mentioned AJ Lee, which if we got her to return as well, some people are holding out for that Royal Rumble spot. Yes, please. I'm not gonna lie. If she did return at the Rumble, I would lose it. But yeah. So CM Punk, kind of like anti-hero promo, saying he's here to make money, and saying that the best in the world is back, and that pretty much like a generic type of not really generic, I should say. I don't think generic is the right word. More so like not really a promo meant to inflame, and which is some of the stuff he used in AEW, and we see how that turned out. But I am excited to see what CM Punk does in WWE. And then there's the situation where it turns out Bryan Danielson headed up the meeting that caused CM Punk to be released from AEW. But I guess how that we'll probably talk about at another time, and by another time I mean probably System Shock Radio, because usually that does tend to happen. And at this point, System Shock Radio I mainly use for a lot of current events, if you guys have noticed, and that's not really a bad thing, obviously. But But I am excited to see what CM Punk does back in WWE. It looks like he wants to change. Hopefully, he makes amends with the people he wants to make amends with. It seems like that's one of the reasons he's one of the reasons why he's here, and to really finish up his career on his terms. And apparently, if the reports are to be believed, WWE reached out to him first, with him opening that line of communication so that they could talk. So very much. Very much not like a crawling back situation to WWE, like a number of people are trying to make it seem like, but really coming back, making amends, coming back to terms, and reconciling, if you will. And reconciling is something that's important. It's something that I think should be done more of, not just in the wrestling business. Obviously, there's some stuff you shouldn't really reconcile with, but him wanting to reconcile, I think that's great. And the fact that it's still being bashed is, what are you going to do? But nevertheless, that's going to do it for this discussion video. As for the two feuds, we'll see where they go. I imagine it'll probably blur the lines between kayfabe and reality, but hopefully it doesn't go too far like what Punk did with Hangman, because, well, we know how that turned out. But nevertheless, that's going to do it for this discussion video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor: like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, turn post notifications so you know every time I upload a video so you can see as soon as it drops. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts on this video, and are you excited to have CM Punk back in WWE? Let me know. But thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace.